All right, so you're thinking about trying Alli to lose some weight, huh?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to break it all down for you today. We're going deep on Alli using this super detailed guide we found. Not just what it is, but like how it works, why it might work for some people, and maybe not so much for others.
Yeah, it's always good to know what you're getting into, right? Especially with all the weight loss stuff out there. A lot of it is, well,
Not exactly honest.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get into, like, how Alli actually does its thing, but just remember, it's not some magic bullet, right?
Definitely not. This guide makes it pretty clear that Alli is meant to work, like alongside a healthy diet and exercise.
Yeah.
It's not going to do the work for you.
Right.
But it's interesting. There's some studies mentioned here that show people who used Alli with diet and exercise lost like 5% more weight than those who just did diet and exercise. 5%? I don't know. Maybe that doesn't sound like a ton.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. But
Yeah.
think about it. You're already losing weight the right way. That extra 5% over time, it adds up, Of course, it really depends on the person, how your metabolism works, how closely you stick to the diet,
Yeah.
if you're actually active, all that stuff.
So it's not like a guaranteed 5%. It's more like a possibility if you're doing everything else right.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, cool. I got to ask this. I see this question everywhere. Does Alli target belly fat? A lot of people, that's like the trouble spot, right?
If it were that easy. Unfortunately, you can't just choose where you lose fat from. Think of it like you can't tell a balloon to only deflate in one spot,
Yeah.
Alli works throughout your whole body. It blocks fat absorption everywhere.
Gotcha. So it's more about overall fat loss. And eventually, yeah, you'll probably see a difference in your belly too.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay, that makes sense. But how is Alli different from other ways to lose weight? I get that it blocks some fat you eat,
Yeah.
but like on a deeper level, how does it change how our bodies work?
Yeah.
Like, is it different from just like cutting calories?
Well, this is pretty cool. Alli actually targets this specific enzyme you have. It's called pancreatic lipase. It's in your digestive system. This enzyme, it's like the key to breaking down the fat you eat so your body can use it. But when you take Alli, the stuff in it called orlistat, it basically attaches itself to the lipase, and it's like shuts it down.
So it's like a little bouncer at the door of your body, keeping the fat from getting in.
Exactly. Perfect analogy.
Love it.
So what happens is some of that fat you eat, it passes through you. Your body doesn't absorb it. And that's where, some of those side effects come in, the oily stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the not so fun part of the whole thing.
Right.
But I guess knowing how that orlistat works, knowing it's messing with an enzyme and all that, can help people figure out if Alli is a good fit for them, right?
Yeah.
And maybe how to deal with those side effects.
Yeah, definitely. And it shows that Alli isn't just like passively cutting calories. It's really changing how your body processes the food you eat.
That's a good point. Which actually makes me think of something else. The guide mentions Alli, it mostly works on the fat we eat, right? So does that mean like it works differently depending on what kind of foods you eat?
That's a really good question, actually. It gets at how complex Alli is. It's not going to be the same for everyone, right? If you eat a lot of fatty foods, Alli will probably block more of that fat. So you might see bigger change. I mean, both good and bad, right?
Oh, interesting. So someone who loves their fried food, they might see more of a difference than someone who, I don't know, eats pretty healthy already.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of leads to something important about weight loss in general. Some people say that using a pill like Alli, it might stop people from really changing their habits. It's not just about popping a pill, right? It's about using it to help you make healthier choices.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're just using Alli to cancel out a bad diet, you're not really fixing the problem, are you?
Right. But if you're using it along with, really trying to eat less fat, then yeah, it could be a big help.
So it's all about working with it, not just expecting it to do everything.
Exactly. It's like teamwork, right? Your choices and the medication working together.
I like it.
Oh, and it's worth mentioning about that 5% more weight loss thing. There's always variation, right? Not everyone's going to see that. And some people are even skeptical about the research itself.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, you know how it is. Some people say that studies funded by, the companies that make the pills, there might be some bias there.
Oh, yeah.
So they say, look at independent research to get a clearer picture. You always got to be careful about where your information is coming from, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially with health stuff. So, speaking of information, I know you've been reading through all those online reviews. What are people actually saying about Alli? The good, the bad, all of it.
It's really interesting. I mean, it's kind of all over the place. Some people, they love Alli. They're losing weight. They're feeling better. They're finally fitting into those old jeans.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And they're like, they have more energy. Their cholesterol's better.
Those are some pretty amazing results. But I'm guessing not everyone's experience is like sunshine and roses.
Oh, definitely not. There are plenty of reviews talking about, well, the side effects, right? The bathroom stuff, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, the stuff no one wants to talk about.
Right. But it's really helpful to read those,
Yeah.
because it gives you a better idea of what it's really like compared to just the clinical studies.
Makes it more real.
Yeah. And reading about other people's, struggles and successes too, I think it can make you feel less alone, like everyone's going through it in their own way.
Yeah, weight loss, it's not always pretty. There are definitely ups and downs, right?
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to focus on more than just the number on the scale, It's about how you feel. Like, do you have more energy? Are you getting healthier overall? Those things are important too.
So it's about the whole picture, not just losing weight.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. It's a good reminder. And it brings us back to like setting realistic goals,
Yeah.
right? Alli is a tool. It's not a miracle.
Right.
It's not about a quick fix. It's about finding a way to be healthy for good. And speaking of how it all works, we talked about the orlistat blocking fat absorption. But is there anything else in those pills? Like anything besides the orlistat that makes Alli work? It's like we're really getting into the nitty-gritty of Alli now. So are there any other like secret ingredients in there besides the orlistat?
Not really, no. I mean, there are other things in the pills, stuff that helps it hold its shape, be absorbed properly, that sort of thing. But the real action, the fat blocking, that's all the orlistat.
Okay, so the orlistat is like the star of the show, and all the other stuff is just like the supporting cast.
Yeah.
But even with all this sciencey stuff, I'm sure there are still things people should think about before they like jump in and try Alli.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We've talked about this a bit, but I can't say it enough. Talk to your doctor before you start taking anything like Alli. They can, look at your health history, any medications you're on, and make sure it's safe for you.
Yeah, like personalized advice, not just general stuff. And I bet they'll say the same thing we've been saying. You got to make those healthy changes too, like eating right, moving your body.
Absolutely. And here's another thing to keep in mind. Alli is really meant to be a short-term thing. It's like a boost to get you started, help you build those good habits, not something you're going to be on forever.
So it's not about depending on Alli for like the rest of your life. It's more like using it as a tool to help you get to where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. The goal is to make those healthy choices a part of your everyday life, even when you're not taking Alli anymore. And even though it can be helpful, it's not for everyone,
Right. It's about figuring out what works for you, your goals, all that. So after all this deep diving, what's your final takeaway for our listeners who are, thinking about trying Alli?
We've covered a lot, right? The science, the good stuff, the not so good stuff, how important it is to actually change your lifestyle. At the end of the day, it's your decision. Do your research, talk to your doctor, think about the pros and cons, and do what feels right for you.
I love that. You got to be informed, right? We've given you all the info. Now it's time to make your own choices. And hey, remember, this isn't the end of the conversation, right? If you have any questions or thoughts, or even if you want to share your own experience, reach out. We're always here to, help you along the way.
Absolutely. We're all in this together.
Yeah. Right. All right. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into Alli. Keep learning, keep moving, and we'll catch you next time.